Hi everyone, I'm Aritra Ghosh. Today I'm going to be presenting this talk on managing our career in AI era. This is going to be part of the Products That Count series. Let's get started. The core of my talk is going to be based on the new term called the translational PM and what it means to lead with AI impact. So first off, AI today is redefining product leadership where the biggest wins won't come from the most complex models, but from PMs who can identify real problems, translate technical progress into user value, and then communicate that clearly. In 2023, I led a small project which used large language models to detect failures in Kubernetes. It wasn't as flashy, nothing grandiose, nothing major, but it solved a very painful problem for our customers. And this also became one of the most adopted features, which also got a lot of attention from executives. The key here is being a translational PM, which is someone who can bridge the gap between the technical capabilities and meaningful user impact. Through this talk, I'll share my experience on how PMs can leverage AI to drive real business outcomes, not just showcase the latest AI features. This in turn again affects and makes what PMs successful in their careers. First off, some intro on me. Hi again. This is Aritra. I'm currently a senior product manager at Microsoft. I have about 9 years of experience in the tech industry, and I've previously worked at Oracle and Sizzle. I have both B2B and B2C experience, having worked with large enterprises, small and medium businesses, as well as regular customers. So let's get started. The translational PM is someone who bridges the gap between the AI as a technology and business impact. They have the unique ability to translate the technical language of AI, things like LLMs, RAGs, fine tuning, whatnot, into terms that business leaders can understand. And as AI becomes more prevalent in our industry, the skill of translation becomes invaluable. The image on the slide, like you can see, represents the two sides. AI is on one side, business value on the other. And the translational PM is someone who is walking across the bridge to connect them. The translational PM is someone who takes this complex AI abilities and articulates how it can drive business outcomes, how it can drive and solve customer problems as well. And again, this role is crucial for ensuring our AI investments actually deliver tangible value for the organization and thereby us. While we see a lot of investments, experiments from organizations today in AI, there is not as much ROI, or at least not as much ROI that is quantifiable today. And I think that's what will differentiate the translational PM in the long term. So, what's the competitive advantage here for the translational PM? The current state of product management is challenging with PMs who fall into two groups. Those who use AI jargon without solving real problems. These are flashy demos which look very good but do not work in production or in daily life. Those who build features but fail to gain visibility or influence. Beyond the first demo, there is no meaningful traction. The translational PM offers a competitive advantage by grounding their efforts in real user and business pain. So again, it's always better to start with actual customer pain points and problems and then see if AI can solve them. Then simplifying the complexity for clear decisions and alignment, turning outcomes into momentum through effective storytelling. And this is one of the core skills of being a good PM. And just to note, this isn't just about technical AI skills, it's about leading with clarity and influence in the AI-shaped world. So now I'm going to introduce the framework of path of what it means to translate AI into real business value. As you can see, this has 4 paths, PATH. So first P, which is the pain first, A on aligning outcomes, T on telling the story, and H on harvesting momentum. The path framework is a practical model for translating AI into real business value. It starts with identifying a real user or team pain that is frequently and costly. AI must solve something tangible for this. Next, we need to define how the solution connects to measurable success, things like increased adoption, efficiency, revenue, or customer satisfaction. Without having a metric or something that we can measure, we will not be able to both like have an outcome or align on them. It's important to translate that pain, customer pain, to outcome that we all agree on. So just as a simple case, it could be something like having to file support cases, and there something like customer satisfaction is a good metric to align on, or even the number of support cases. Now, once we have both the P and the A, which is the pain and the outcomes, the next thing is to tell a good story. And this is very, very important, especially for getting the buy-in from executives and business leaders who may not as much either know or care about what is the underlying technology being used. So it's important to build a clear narrative using metrics, quotes, and demos. This is the, again, key to get the buy-in. In this process, demos are super helpful, which is to get that kind of traction and show that the promise that AI or whichever solution could deliver. And finally, we want to use some of these early wins to gain support. This is how we unlock resources for the project and then spark follow-on opportunities to actually move this to production. So I'll recap this again. The path framework is pain first, align outcomes, tell the story, and harvesting momentum. I'm going to walk through a case study of how I have used this in my own personal career, like I said. So here we're going to apply this to what I did. So I noticed that engineers were spending hours of diagnosing Kubernetes cluster failures, and this was affecting our service reliability and also the SRE, which is the service reliability engineer satisfaction. And this was, again, the path, which is the pain first. This is grounded in actual pain points that customers have. Based on this, our goal was to reduce the mean time to resolution, that is the time it takes to solve the problem, by 60% and improve SRE satisfaction. Quickly experimenting with LLMs, I created a demo showcasing the before and after timelines to illustrate the impact of the solution. Using LLMs and being able to summarize the metrics logs, we saw that it was really just amazing in terms of how it could help us. And then the project was so successful that it expanded not beyond to 3 additional services, and we also were able to secure additional headcount to scale the work. This small project, which started off again as a demo, it became one of the most widely adopted features because it solved a genuine problem with measurable outcomes. Next, so in this framework, there are a few common things that we should avoid to be able to both use it well and leverage it effectively. So first, the key pitfalls we want to avoid are leading with tech instead of the problem. Like I mentioned before, it's important to focus on the customer problem and not start with either AI or any solution. The second one is not creating shareable artifacts to demonstrate impact. This is more so on being able to actually show tangible progress and tangible products, features, solutions that work. And next, shipping in silence. It's important to be able to communicate effectively, tell the story. So let's dive in a little deeper on each of this. First, it's critical to always define the pain point or problem when you're trying to solve before jumping into the technical solution. Leading with the model or technology can both result in low adoption and wasted resources. Second, you need to produce a shareable demo, a story or result from your work. Storytelling is super important. That's how the problem is solved, how LLMs help it. That's one of the key things actually here to be able to be successful. If you don't have tangible result to show, the technical merit of the work will remain invisible. And finally, PMs who don't proactively narrate and share their work, they both miss out on influence, recognition, and career growth opportunities. This again in the AI era is important. It's be able to communicate effectively and well, both to leadership, customers, and other stakeholders. Always think about how you're going to communicate the outcome. The key questions to ask are, what pain am I solving? What story will I tell? And how will I share the outcome? Again, keep this in mind to help us avoid these kind of common pitfalls. So These are a few of the reflection questions as you start to apply this framework. So here we are going to talk about what are the key questions that you should think about when you launch a new initiative. The first question asks us to identify any areas of friction or inefficiency that are worth solving. This is more in the customer discovery phase and more around customer validation, that is this a real problem? Figure out whether this is a repeated pain, how acute is the problem, and how much does the customer care about it. Now, without actual customer problems or something that the customer wants to get solved, there is no point of going and building something, whether using LLMs or otherwise. The second question challenges us to articulate the value of the initiative in a way that resonates with both engineers and executives. The key thing to note here is different stakeholders have different incentives, and being able to clearly articulate what's in it for them will help both you to be successful as well as the company, the team, and everyone else. And if we can't explain it clearly, we may not be able or ready to move forward. The third question focuses on finding the one memorable artifact. It could be a demo, it could be a graph, a quote, or metric that will capture attention and communicate the impact of the initiative. These reflection questions are intended to help ensure we are tackling the right problems and can effectively communicate the value and importance of our work. So now, how do we use this framework to coach the team? How do we use this as a leadership tool? The PATH framework is a powerful tool for coaching junior product managers and aligning cross-functional teams. You can use this in planning sessions to keep the focus on the intended impact of your work, have review proposals and project plans through the PATH lens to ensure that everyone's aligned. You can incorporate this into your team's documentation template to make it a consistent part of your process. And developing this translational mindset is key, helping your key team bridge technical capabilities with business outcomes. Lastly, mentoring and coaching your team on these skills will empower them to think more strategically and drive greater impact. This is both good for the company as well as for PMs themselves. Once again, summarizing what we discussed today, we have the technical understanding and we have the business impact. The translational PM sits at the intersection of these two. As the AI era is transforming the role of product managers, the most effective PMs are not the most technical, but the most clear, grounded, and visible. Your ability to translate between AI capabilities and business outcomes is the key. You are going to be a strategic leader, not just a feature builder. Technical understanding and business impact are both critical, with the intersection being translational PM. The key skills in technical understanding include AI, ML, data science, engineering. Key skills in business impact include strategy, customer focus, and communication. And as a translational PM, you will bridge the gap between these two, aligning the technology with business needs. So, what are the next steps once you have this framework with you? The key is to drive impact with your AI initiatives is to start with a pre-mortem, which is visualize what success looks like before you build the feature. Map out the key pain points, value propositions, and metrics that will matter to different stakeholders. This will help you craft a compelling narrative. Like I mentioned before, what matters and what executives care about is very different from what engineers cares about, is very different from what the legal teams care about. Think about their incentives and create a story based on the stakeholder. Next, build a single powerful demo. It could be a dashboard or an artifact that will make your work visible and impactful across the organization. This is how you will shape how your company thinks about AI. And lastly, by adopting a translational PM mindset, you won't ship just AI features. You'll fundamentally change how you think about how your organization's approaches and thinks about AI. Thanks so much for listening in. In the next session, we'll be walking through a case study of how I applied this in real life. Hope you found this useful, and looking forward to getting feedback on what other things we could improve here.